references to the holy names which are to be avoided written by Srila Vyasadeva in the Padma Purana. 1. To blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their lives for the propagating the holy name of the Lord. 2. To consider the names of demigods like Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma to be equal to or independent of the name of the Lord Vishnu. 3. To disobey the orders of the spiritual master. 4. To blaspheme the Vedic scriptures or scriptures in pursuance to the Vedic version. 5. To consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna to be an imagination. 6. To give some interpretation to the holy name of the Lord. 7. To commit sinful activities in the strength of the holy name. 8. To consider the chanting of Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities which are offered in the Vedas as fruitive activities, Karma Kanda. 9. To instruct a faithless person about the glories of the holy name. 10. To not have complete faith in the chanting of the holy name and to maintain material attachments even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also every devotee who claims to be Vaishnava. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be Vaishnava must guard against these offenses in order to achieve the desired success of Krishna Prema. Once again, I thank everyone for joining the Bhakti Sanga conference call today. Let us move to our next session, which is Srimad Bhagavatam class. May I know who all have joined the call this morning?
हरे कृष्ण पद्मा माता जी दंडवत प्रणाम श्रीला प्रभुपाद की जय गुरु महाराज की जय प्रीतिदासी फ्रॉम शार्लोट हरे कृष्णा
Hare Krishna, Priti Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much for joining the call, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्णा
Hare Krishna, Padma Mataji. My humble obeisances to you and all assembled devotees. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. This is Param Pavani Shama Devidasi from Baltimore, Maryland. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Param Pavani Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. Stand up the pram. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much for joining the call, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Padma Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru and Guranga ki jai, and all the assembled devotees. This is Shivani from Ashram. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Shivani Mataji. Elvat Pram, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much for joining the call, Mataji. Good to meet you in person, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Padma Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is Vinita Gandharvika Devidasi from College Station, Texas, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Vinita Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much for joining the call, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण पद्मा माता जी
Go ahead,
go ahead माता जी
Hare Krishna, Padma Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is Sanita Ramya from Sharjah. Thank you, Srimati Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Anita Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much for joining the call, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण माता जी प्लीज एक्सेप्ट माय हम्बल ओबेइसेंसेस ऑल ग्लोरीज टू श्रील प्रभुपाद एंड श्री गुरु एंड श्री गौरांग and all the assembled devotees. This is Yashamati Priya Devi Dasi from Chicago.
Hare Krishna, Yashamati Priya Devi Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much for joining the call, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Padma Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances to you and all the assembled devotees. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Srila Guru Maharaj. This is Sushmita from Canada.
Hare Krishna, Sushmita Mataji. Dandavat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much for joining the call, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Padma Mataji, all glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. My humble obeisances to you and all the devotees. This is Krishna Kumari Devidasi from Balaram.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Kumari Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much for joining the call, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Yes.
I can hear you, Mataji.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, Mataji. Do you want to announce yourself?
Oh, I think it is Vrajalila Mataji.
Vrajalila Mataji, yes.
Yeah,
Yes, Mataji.
Vrajalila Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Vrajalila Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Please accept my humble obeisances and thank you very much for joining the call, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you very much.
Krishna.
May I know your name, Mataji?
Padma Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Padma Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharaj. This is Shama Dasi from Charlotte.
Hare Krishna, Shama Gauri Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much for joining the call, Mataji. Hare Krishna, thank you very much for all the participations, Mataji. That here. Let's go to our next session. That is today we are fortunate to have Balaram Mataji. Can you start the recording, Mataji? Today we are fortunate to have Balaram Sakthi Prabhuji for enlightening on the topic of Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th canto, 10th chapter, first verse. But before giving the call to Prabhuji, I would like to give the call to Srila Prabhuji for giving brief introduction about Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhu. Oh, he's here. Prabhu, please take over the
introduction
call.
for Prabhuji Mat.
Yeah, please take over the call.
Generally, we don't do.
Generally, we don't
Hare
give
Krishna, Mataji.
introduction for Prabhuji.
Mataji,
Okay.
he is giving class after a long time, Mataji. We should do introduction now.
Okay, I can send it, Mataji. I will send it and we can read that. Give me a minute. Suresh Sham Prabhu, are you available or else Padma Mataji can read it? Give me a minute.
Yeah, Padma Mataji can read Mataji.
Yeah, sure, Mataji. Prabhuji, 1 second, I'll send it in the group. Yeah, send it, Mataji. You can open the playlist. Yeah.
One second, Mataji. Can you see me, right? Yeah. Can you hear me, right?
Yes, Mataji, I can hear you.
Prabhupada, nice to hear your voice, Mataji.
Oh. To playlist it, Mataji.
Were you able to open, Mataji? I will send you the screenshot otherwise.
I'm able to open, Mataji. Where I go, Mataji? Sorry, I was. Oh, yeah, I see it. When I say.
I sent you the screenshot also.
Okay, thank you, Mataji.
Go ahead.
I would like to give a brief introduction to Prabhuji. Balaram Sakthi Prabhuji is a brahmachari devotee connected to ISKCON, Chowpatty. He completed his BE in metallurgical engineering from NIT, Tiruchirappalli in 2002. Thereafter, he joined Pennsylvania State University and graduated with PhD in material science in 2007. While at Pennsylvania State University, he took up to Krishna consciousness as a member of Penn State Vedic Society. While at Penn State, he was mentored by H.G. Yugalakishore Prabhuji. After he moved back to India, he chose to become a full-time monk at Radha Gopinath Mandir. In May 2010, after his brahmachari training, he moved to Govardhan Eco Village and served full-time till December 2021. He is currently in Chennai assisting his aged parents. He is an extremely erudite scholar of the Vaishnava scriptures and he travels far and wide teaching these books. He is also currently engaged in teaching many of these books online also. He is a disciple of His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj. Hare Krishna. Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you very much for your time and valuable association this morning, Prabhu, for enlightening us in the topic of Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th canto, 10th chapter, first verse. Over to you, Prabhu. Please take over whenever you are ready, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So thank you all very much for giving me this opportunity and inviting me for today's Bhagavatam class. I'm joining after a long time. I apologize. Was a little bit tied up with too many things. And so, yeah, almost like after 10 months, I guess I'm coming back. I apologize. So today we will be discussing from the 10th chapter of the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So I will read the verse, translation, and purport by Srila Prabhupada, and then we will see what we can learn from today's verse. Shri Narada Uvacha Bhakti Yogasya Tatsarvam Antarayatayarbakah Manyamano Rishikesham Smayamana Uvachaha. The saint Narada Muni continued, although Prahlad Maharaj was only a boy, when he heard the benedictions offered by Lord Narasimhadev, he considered them impediments on the path of devotional service. Thus he smiled very mildly and spoke as follows. Okay. So here, Srila Prabhupada says, material achievements are not the ultimate goal of devotional service. The ultimate goal of devotional service is love of Godhead. Therefore, although Prahlad Maharaj, Dhruva Maharaj, Ambarish Maharaj, Yudhishthir Maharaj, and many devotee kings were materially very opulent, they accepted their material opulence in the service of the Lord, not for their personal sense gratification. Of course, possessing material opulence is always fearful because under the influence of material opulence, one may be misdirected from devotional service. Nonetheless, a pure devotee, Anyabhilashita Shunyam, is never misdirected by material opulence. On the contrary, whatever he possesses, he engages 100% in the service of the Lord. When one is allured by material possessions, they are considered to be given by Maya. But when one uses material possessions fully for service, they are considered God's gifts or facilities offered by Krishna for enhancing one's devotional service. Okay, so this is the purport by Srila Prabhupada. So let us see what we can learn. So we will just do a very quick overview of this discussion because today's verse says that he spoke in response, only that much. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just very quickly do we will just read what Prahlad Maharaj says, at least in the next few verses, so that we can talk on that same theme. Because whatever is mentioned in this verse and purport, in the same theme he is going to speak. Of course, I am not trying to cover the verses which would be covered by the subsequent speakers, but I'm just going to touch them because the theme is same, and it's very likely that other devotees may also touch upon the same theme, but it's okay. I think I will just touch. So here, just give me 1 second. Okay, so here, I'm sorry. Okay, so Narada Muni is telling, I will just read the translation. When the boy heard the benedictions offered by Narasimhadev, he considered them impediments on the path of devotional service. Thus he smiled and spoke as follows. So what does Prahlad Maharaj say? He says, Ma mam pralobaya utpatya saktam kameshu tair varaihi tat sangabito nirvinno mumukshuhutvam upashritah. So Prahlad Maharaj is telling to Narasimhadev please do not tempt me, attached by my inborn nature to material enjoyment. Out of humility, of course, he's telling this. He has no inborn nature of material enjoyment. So he's telling, please do not tempt me by offering these benedictions. Detached from material life, fearing association with those desires and desiring freedom from material desire, I have taken shelter of you. So then Narsingadev asked Prahlad Maharaj, so you mean to say that I actually tempt my devotees? Is that what you are suggesting? That I am so sadistic that I tempt my devotees so that they fall down? So Prahlad Maharaj clarifies, he says, curious about the symptoms of your devotee, you have sent me into a world of enjoyment, which is the seed of samsara, which creates the knot in the heart. So why he gives this opportunity? He says, according to Prahlad Maharaj, he says, just to show this world about the symptoms of your devotee, that you have sent me to this material world. You just want to show this whole world what are the qualities of a devotee. So for that. So Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti says, do I actually tempt my devotees? He says, no, you simply show the world the highest steadiness of your devotees. Now, what is that verse? That Salokya Sashti Samipya Sarupya Ekatvam Apyuta Diyamanam na grinanti vina matsevanam jana. So without the opportunity for service, the devotees do not accept any of these things. So here he says that your intention is to show the quality of your devotee when you say to him, why do you not accept the benedictions that I offer? Okay, and then you want to show to the whole world, now just wait and watch what my devotee says. I am offering him everything. So just wait and see what he is asking for. Since you are omniscient, you do not need to know anything and you cannot be curious. Rather, you are making everyone else know. You want the rest of the world to know the quality of your devotee. That is why you are offering this. So I am not accusing you of tempting me, my Lord, even though I may use such words. That's what he's suggesting. So then he says, O Guru of the world, being merciful, it could not be otherwise. The person who desires benedictions is not your devotee. He is a merchant. Of course, here the definition of a devotee according to Prahlad Maharaj is not is one who is anyabilashita shunyam, jnana karmadhi anavritam. That is the definition of a devotee. Okay, so that's how he defines devotee. So he says one who desires benediction itself is a merchant, he says. So he says, Prahlad Maharaj says, you teach for the benefit, for everyone's benefit, including that of Brahma, Shiva and others. So then the Lord asks, okay, tell me what are the qualities of the devotee? So you are telling that I give these benedictions to the devotees just to show to the world, whole world, the qualities of my devotees. So you tell me what are the qualities of the devotee? So he says, I will tell you the qualities of the master and the servant. He who desires something from you is a merchant. So giving you a leaf, flower or food, he wants to have the wealth of Brahma or Indra or become the possessor of elephants, horses and chariots. What he wants to give you in return? Patram pushpam phalam toyam. What he wants in return to that, he wants to become Brahmaji. Okay. That kind of a merchant. This is not a devotee. So Prahlad Maharaj continues. He who desires benefit for himself from the master is not a servant. Servant means one who wants to serve and please the master is servant. Okay. That is the mood of servitude. So that is the mood of servitude. Kainkaryam. Kainkaryam. So in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Srila Rupa Goswami says that there are two aspects of dasyam. There are two aspects of dasyam. One is called as kainkaryam and another is called as, I think he says, karmaphala tyaga. Yeah, I think he says karmaphala tyaga. I'll have to confirm that. Something along those lines. I'm not very sure if he uses the same terminology. So in talking about the 64 limbs of devotional service, he says there is kainkaryam and I think karmaphala tyaga. I'll have to confirm that. So kainkaryam means the mood of kim karomi, what can I do for you? Not that what is there in it for me. Okay. But some of the other Vaishnava Sampradayas, in the other Vaishnava Sampradayas, this dasyam is considered, there is also an alternative understanding of karma phala tyaga where they perform their varnashram duties and in response they offer the fruits, but in response they want some mukti or something like that. But according to Srila Rupa Goswami, dasyam, real dasyam is kainkaryam. Ihayasya harer dasye karmana manasa gira nikila swapi avastasu jivan mukta sauchyate. This is where he quotes this verse. By karmana manasa gira, by his actions, mind and words, he offers everything to the Lord. All his endeavors, actions, etc. Ihayasya harer dasye. All of it is in the mood of I am the servant and I have to serve my Lord, I have to please him. That mood is kainkaryam. Okay. But he who desires benefit for himself from the master is not a servant. Very high standard of servitude. The person who, desiring to maintain his position as a master, gives benediction to the servant is not a real master. Neither is a master who thinks that I want to maintain the position of being a master. If I don't give benediction, this person will go to someone else and accept him as a master. Such a master is not a fit master. Okay. So neither a master is one who is not dependent on his servant. And a servant is one who just wants to please his master. This is real master and servant. That's what Prahlad Maharaj says. And he says, I am your servant, not desiring benefits, and you are my master without dependence on service. Our relationship should not be anything else such as that of a material king and servant. Okay. Material king and a servant, there is a relationship of mutual dependence. Okay. In the case of the Supreme Lord and his devotee, also there is a mutual dependence. But that mutual dependence is mutual dependence of love. It is not mutual dependence of any other kind. It is not a kind of mutual dependence where if the servant does not serve, then the Lord struggles to get that service done. No. In the material world, if the servant maid does not come, then the master or the mistress, they struggle. They will have to themselves mop the floor. They will have to themselves, wash the vessels and all that. But the Lord is not like that. So there is a mutual dependence of love. But there is no utilitarian relationship. That's what Prahlad Maharaj is telling. Okay. So, oh, best of the givers of benediction, if at all you want to bestow a desirable benediction upon me, then I pray from you that within my heart, material desires will never grow. If you want to give me any benediction, please give me the benediction that in my heart, I never get material desires. Desire for any kind of material benediction, I should not get. Please give me that benediction, if at all you want to give me any benediction. By the appearance of desire, the functions of one's senses, mind and life, body, dharma, determination, intelligence, shyness, wealth, strength, memory, and truthfulness are all destroyed. As long as material desires come, then one starts compromising. It leads to a mood of compromise. Oh, I can compromise this. If I compromise this, this desire will be better fulfilled. I can compromise little bit of my dharma. I can compromise little bit of my determination to follow spiritual life. I can compromise little bit of my truthfulness. Okay, that compromising attitude comes as soon as material desires creep in. I don't want to live a compromised life. Therefore, my dear Lord, give me the benediction that never ever these material desires creep into my heart. Oh Lord, when a human being gives up the desire for a sthai bhav with you in his mind, he becomes eligible for merging into you. Okay. If he gives up the material desires with a desire to establish a relationship with you, then he merges with you. Okay. So then the Lord says, so Prahlad, you want to merge with me? So the Prahlad clarifies. He says, I offer respects to the Lord full of 6 qualities, the Purusha, the great soul, the killer of all miseries, the wonderful lion and man, who is Brahman and Paramatma. Even so, merging means merging in terms of establishing a relationship. My dear Lord, I offer my respects to Bhagavan, who is also known as Brahman and Paramatma. Brahmeti Paramatmeti Bhagavaniti Shabdate. So in this way, Prahlad Maharaj outright rejects Narasimhadev's offer for benediction. Actually, this is the natural mood of the devotees. They do not ask for material benedictions. Nadanam, Najanam, Nasundarim, Kavitam va Jagadisha Kamaye. Mama Janmani Janmanishware Bhavatad Bhakti Rahaitu Ki Twayi. Okay, we see in the case of Prithu Maharaj, Prabhupada in his purport quoted Prithu Maharaj. We will just quickly see the case of Prithu Maharaj. Prithu Maharaj pleased the Supreme Lord. The Lord came and he asked Prithu Maharaj, oh Prithu Maharaj, what kind of benediction do you want? And Prithu Maharaj, he said he said, Bhajantyatattvam atayeva sadavo vyudastamaya guna vibramodayam Bhavat padanu smaranadrite satam nimittamanyad bhagavanna vidmahe. So Prithu Maharaj says, the devotees worship you who destroy the abundant illusions. Maya guna udayam, which arise from the gunas of Maya. The devotees worship you and you destroy the abundant illusions arising from Maya. For the devotees, na vidmahe, I do not know, anyad nimittam, any other result from worshipping you, bhavat pada anusmarana drite, except remembrance of your lotus feet. So he says that, my dear Lord, why you are even asking me this question? Why are you even asking me this question? Because as far as I know, real devotees do not know of any other result from worshipping you except remembrance of your lotus feet. What is that verse by King Kulashekar in Mukundamala Stotra? Can someone help me out with that? Avismrititva charanaravinde bhave bhave me astu bhavat prasadat. What is that verse? Beginning, anyone remembers? Avismrititva charanaravinde bhave bhave me astu bhavat prasadat. Another verse he says, Naham vande tava charanayor dvandva madvandva hetoho kumbhipakam gurumapi hare narakam napanetum ramya rama mridutanulata nandane napirantum bhave bhave hridaya bhavane bhavayeyam bhavantam, he says. So,
Mukundamurtna Nipatyaya.
Mukunda, yeah, correct. Mukunda Murdna Pranipatyayache Bhavantam Ekantam Iyantamartam Avismrititva Charanara Bhave Bhave Me Astu Bhavat Prasada. That is that verse. Okay, he says, Mukunda Murdna Pranipatyayache. My dear Mukunda, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you, and I am begging you. Mukunda Murdna Pranipatyayache Bhavantam Ekantam Iyantamartam. Only one benediction I want from you. Avismrititva charanara vinde. May I never forget your lotus feet. That is the only thing I want. Avismrititva charanara vinde. Bhave bhave me astu bhavat prasadad. Life after life. So when you say life after life, mama janmani janmanishware bhavatad bhakti rahaitu ki tvayi. Mama janmani janmani, by presenting that janmani janmani, it is already clear that the person does not want liberation. I am willing to stay in this material world as long as there is remembrance of the lotus feet of the Lord. Avismrititva charanara vinde. So he is not even asking for remembrance. He says, I should never forget, which means remembrance can be sporadic. Smriti can be sporadic. Avismriti means never forgetfulness, never forgetting, which means constant remembrance. Avismritistva charanara vinde bhave bhave me astu bhavat prasadat. Like that. So, Prithu Maharaj says, my dear Lord, why you are even asking me for a benediction? Don't you know that the devotees do not know of any other result from worshipping you other than remembrance of your lotus feet? Naham mande tava charanayor dvandva madvandva hetoho kumbhipakam gurumapi hare narakam napanetum ramya rama mridutanulata nandane napirantum bhave bhave hridaya bhavane bhavayeyam bhavantam. So, in another verse, King Kulashekar says, Naham mande tava charanayor dvandva madvandva hetoho. My dear Lord, I do not worship your lotus feet for overcoming the dualities of this world. Kumbhipakam gurumapi hare narakam napanetum. Nor am I worshipping you to overcome the hellish sufferings in the hells like Kumbhipaka. Ramya Rama Mridutanulata Nandane Napirantum. Nor am I worshipping you so that you would give me an opportunity to enjoy with beautiful women in the heavenly gardens. Bhave bhave hridaya bhavane bhavayeyam bhavantam. Whereas I am worshipping you so that you may remain within the temple of my heart all the time. That's the only purpose. Avismritistva charanara vinde bhavat pada anusmaranadrite anyad nimittam na vidmahe. They do not know of any other result from worshipping you except remembrance of your lotus feet. So here Srila Vishnu Chakravarti says that not only me but all of your devotees request this benediction of service. Because you are affectionate to the low and fallen, they worship you who destroy the illusion of Maya's gunas from which desires for benediction arises. The nature of worshipping you is that the desire for benedictions disappears. Then what is the result of the worship then? The result is remembering your feet. Since the supreme happiness derived from that feet derides all other happiness. All other happiness. What is that verse? Anyways. Okay. Then he says, Manye giramte jagatam vimohinim varam vrinishveti bhajantam attayat Vachanutantya yadite jano sitaha. Katam punaha karma karoti mohitaha. Manye te giram. I think your words. Varam vrinishva iti. The Lord said, Varam vrinishva badram te. So please ask for benediction. So he says that actually your words, the words that you told me that, okay, take any benediction. He says, Jagatam bhajantam vimohinim. It is bewildering to this whole world. Yadi janaha te vachanutantya asitaha. Unless a person is bound by your words, katam karma karoti. How can he continue to do such actions repeatedly under illusion? Okay. So the Lord says, so then if that is the only purpose for which devotees worship me, then why do I ask my devotee to request for benedictions? So the Lord says, if an Prithu Maharaj says, if an immature devotee asks for some material benediction out of strong greed, he will be destroyed since he is cheated of bhakti rasa. Typical words of the Vedas bewilder the world by promising elevation to Pitraloka by performing prescribed duties or elevation to Swargaloka by horse sacrifice. Yamimam pushpitam vacham pravadanti avipashchitaha Vedavadarata partha nanyadastiti vadinaha. So they start speaking in like that. So unless a person is bound by your words, how can he continue to do such acts bewildered by the results again and again? So then finally, Prithu Maharaj says, Twan maya yadda jana isha kandito yadanyadashasta ritatmano abudaha yata charet bala hitam pita swayam tata twameva arhasi nas samihitum. So he says, Yad abudaha jana, since foolish people, tvad mayaya adha kanditaha, being severely injured by your maya, anyad ashasta rita atmano. You give them this opportunity by telling what benedictions you want. Immature devotees may end up injuring themselves by asking for benedictions which is other than worshipping you. Therefore, you should choose without asking us. Tata tvameva arhasi nas samihitum. You should only choose what is beneficial for us. Yata charet bala hitam pita swayam. Just as a father acts for the benefit of his son, a father does not always ask, what do you want to have for breakfast? Would you want to have chocolate or would you want to have, paratha or whatever, right? Because child will always say, I want to have chocolates. Would you like to go to school today or just sit at home and watch TV? The child will definitely say, I definitely want to stay at home and watch TV. So the father, while he does ask, the mother asks, okay, once the child comes back from school, she asks, what would you like to have for dinner? Would you like to have, rice or chapati, like that? But that does not mean parents ask the child, give a choice for everything, because the child is not mature enough to choose something which is always beneficial for the child. So therefore, the parents sometimes choose for the child. They don't give that opportunity for the child to choose. So Prithu Maharaj says, my dear Lord, my humble request, please never ask your devotees like this. What if they choose something which is injurious to their devotional life? Yata charet bala hitam pita swayam tata tvameva arhasi nas samihitum. Just like a father knows what is best for the child, you choose whatever is best for me. You please do not ask me what benediction I want. Like that. So he says, therefore, do not test your devotee with greed by offering him benedictions. Since all people desire something other than the proper thing, your worship, which is your worship, you should do what you think is good for us. Just as a father knows what is beneficial or harmful for his son, when he should study and when he should play, Do what is best according to your opinion after considering if giving benedictions is beneficial or harmful for me. You do not have to ask me for my approval again. Okay. This shows Prithu Maharaj's trust in the Lord. Okay. Prithu Maharaj's trust in the Lord. Ambarish Maharaj also, we see the example. The Lord himself tells, Durvasa Muni, Ye dara agara putra apta pranan vittam imam param hitva mam sharanam yatah katam tam tyaktumutsahe. The Lord is telling Ambarish, he's telling about Ambarish Maharaj to Durvasa Muni. He says, but he gives a very generic, he takes devotees in general. Since these pure devotees, Hitva, they give up Dara, their wives, Agara, their homes, Putra, their sons, Apta, their relatives, Pranan, including their lives, Vittam, their riches, Mam Sharanam Yataha, just to serve me, Imam Param, without any desire for material improvement in this life or in the next. Katam Tam Tyaktum Utsahe, how can I desire to give them up? Okay, that is the nature of the devotees. They don't want na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim, kavitam va jagadisha kamaye. So, in this conversation, he asks, okay, so Durvasa Muni asks the Supreme Lord, my dear Lord, why you are making me run like this? Are you not Namo Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahmana Itayacha? Are you not affectionate to the Brahmanas? Therefore, do not ignore me. I am a Brahmana. The Lord says, that is true. But how can I ignore the devotees? I will have to give them up automatically if I protect you who offended the devotee. Yes, I am Namo Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahmana Itayacha. But devotees are much more dearer to me. If I protect you, that means I am giving up my affection for my devotee because you have offended my devotee. So that is expressed in this verse. For me, the devotees have given up attachment to wife and children, objects of affection, which are very difficult to give up. Then he asks Durvasa Muni, what have you, a Brahmana, given up? Please tell me. What have you given up? But look at these devotees, what they are willing to give up for pleasing me. So how can I give up those devotees? How can I support you? So you cannot say, so Durvasa Muni may laugh and he say, my dear Lord, what are you talking about? Durvasa means, Dur means, you can say, it's a negative prefix. Durvasa means one who is inappropriately dressed. Okay, that's a euphemistic way of telling that a person is naked. So Durvasa Muni may say, my dear Lord, what are you talking about? Look at me. I'm so detached. I'm not even attached to wearing a dress. Look at Ambarish Maharaj. What has he given up? What are you talking about? He's still living in the palace. His wife is there, children is there, relatives is there, are there, everyone is there. Okay. What did he give up? So he says, you cannot say Ambarish did not give up anything. When you engaged the demon to kill him, he did not move a step since he did not consider his body important. Okay. It's not that, it's not in giving up. It is in whether you are attached to it or not. Okay. But you who prayed to Brahma and Shiva for protection ran all over the universe to protect your body, even though you are an Atmarama with complete detachment. You are supposed to be an Atmarama with complete detachment. Yes, you are not wearing any dress. But why you have run through the all 14 planetary systems, you have come here, come running to Vaikuntha Loka to save your life. How did Ambarish Maharaj respond? So the Lord says, I know the true value of him and you. What else should I tell you, such a fool? Like that. The Lord addresses Durvasa Muni. Then he says, Matsevaya pratitam te salokyadi chatushtayam nechanti sevaya purnaha kutoanyat kala viplutam. My devotees, sevaya purnaha, they are completely satisfied to be engaged in my service. And na ichanti, and they are not interested. Salokyadi chatushtayam, in the 4 types of liberation. Salokya, Sarshti, Samipya, Sarupya, Muktis. Mat sevaya pratitam, which they can easily get. They are, they are entitled to get all of that just by serving me. They don't have to do anything else for attaining it. They are entitled to take it just by serving me. Okay. Mat sevaya pratitam te salokyadi chatushtayam. But nechanti sevaya purna. Kuto anyat kala viplutam. What then is to be said of any perishable happiness, including this material body, for which you are running here and there, O Durvasa Muni? So this verse shows their high position because of their lack of material desire. Even though these types of liberation are achieved automatically, they do not desire them. These types of liberation are not destroyed by time, whereas other things such as attaining Brahmaloka are destroyed. Okay. So they are not attached. That is the nature of devotees. Like what Prahlad Maharaj is declining here. Prithu Maharaj declined. Ambarish Maharaj did not speak, but through his actions he declined. And the Lord spoke for Ambarish Maharaj. But then the question is, are material facilities, are material facilities and family detrimental to spiritual life, because all of them seem to reject it? So if you see Brahmaji in his after Brahma Vimohan Leela, he speaks this verse, Tavad ragadayas tenas tavat karagraham graham tavan mohongri nigado yavat Krishna nate janaha. He says, my dear Krishna, yavad nate janaha, as long as people do not become your devotees, tavad ragadayas tenaha, till then their material attachments and desires will remain thieves, which will steal all their spiritual credits. Tavat karagraham graham, and their homes will remain prison houses. Tavat mohongri nigado, and their affectionate feelings, moha. Angri nigadaha means will remain foot shackles binding them to this material world. Yavat Krishna nate jana, as long as one does not become a devotee of Krishna. So when one becomes a devotee, that is not a major issue. So in the purport, the disciples of Srila Prabhupada write, apparently the residents of Vrindavan, the abode of Lord Krishna, are simple householders, engaged in ordinary affairs such as herding cows, cooking, rearing children, and performing religious ceremonies. They seem to be absolutely materialistic people. However, all these activities are intensely engaged in the loving service of Lord Krishna. Yavat Krishna nate jana. The residents of Vrindavan perform all activities in pure Krishna consciousness and thus exist on the most exalted platform of liberated life. So therefore, even though they may be staying with their family and, they may have wealth, they may have everything, but Yavat Krishna nate jana, because they are connected to Krishna, they are serving Krishna, these things do not bind them. Otherwise, the same activities performed without Krishna consciousness constitute ordinary bondage to the material world. Thus, one should not misunderstand the exalted position of the residents of Vrindavan, nor should one consider oneself highly religious simply because one performs ordinary domestic affairs very enthusiastically, but without Krishna consciousness. Okay. So it is not about whether someone has material things, material family or not, but it is about whether how much the person is attached to Krishna. By focusing our passionate attachment to our family and society, we are completely deviated from the progressive path of Krishna consciousness. Conversely, if we engage our family in the loving service of the Lord, our endeavors to maintain our family become part and parcel of our progressive spiritual duties. This is the point. If we engage our family in the loving service of the Lord, then our endeavors to maintain our family become part and parcel of our progressive spiritual duties. Tavat Krishna Nate Jana. Okay. So, in conclusion, by studying the extraordinary status of the residents of Vrindavan, we can see that the essential quality of their lives is pure Krishna consciousness. The rendering of loving service to the Lord without a trace of material desire or mental speculation. For that, they may stay with their family, they may still be herding their cows, they may still be milking their cows, and all that. But that does not mean that they are bound to this material world by those activities. Okay. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti commenting on the same verse, he says, the sannyasis will object that the inhabitants of Vraja are fallen in the net of material life in the form of attachment to sons and wives. Just like Durvasa Muni may object. Why you are so attached to this Ambarish Maharaj? Look, he is living in a palace. Look at me. Okay. However, what to speak of the householders of Vraja? Even your ordinary devotees in other places, such as the United States of America, and other such places, Canada, like that. Even they are superior to the sannyasis, the regular Vedic sannyasis. Okay. Attachment and aversion are great thieves. Tavad ragadayas tenas. Attachment and aversion are great thieves because they steal the great treasure of the bliss from the soul. The souls are bound up in the prison of household life so that they cannot criticize the Supreme Lord after having lost their wealth. As long as people do not get the mercy of your devotees and become your followers, they remain in this position. Tavad ragadayas tenas tavat kara graham graham tavan mohongri nigado yavat Krishna natejana. As long as people do not get the mercy of your devotees and thus become your followers, they will remain in this position. But when they become your devotees, they develop attachment for bhakti and aversion for things obstructing bhakti. They become absorbed in you. These thieves of raga and dvesha, expecting to grasp the great treasure of unlimited knowledge and bliss, when they become fixed in you, they give up their bad qualities and instead do good service to others. And similarly, the house which is considered as a prison house, it becomes a means of attaining the eternal dham through activities of serving you and singing your glories. Jedina grihe bhajana deki grihete goloka bai. Charana sidhu dekiya ganga sukha nasima pai, as Bhaktivinoda Thakur says. So when the jiva becomes the devotee of Krishna, then the bewilderment, tavan mohongri nigado, the bewilderment from objects, that is wife and sons, become the cause of expression of prema. Because they are seen as devotees who are assisting our devotional service. Okay, like that. So like that. Anyways, then similar verse is spoken by Brahmaji in the 3rd canto, 9th chapter also. Tavad bayam dravinadeha suhrid nimittam shoka spruha paribhavo vipulascha lobah Tavan mameti asadavagraha arti moolam yavan natengri mabayam pravrinita lokah. Brahmaji says, Yavad lokah, as much as people, na pravrinita, do not completely accept te angrim, your lotus feet. And what is the nature of your lotus feet? Abhayam, which gives fearlessness. Tavad, till then. Bhayam, they have to suffer material existence. And what is that material existence caused by? Dravina Deha Suhrid Nimittam, which is caused by attachment to wealth, body, and friends. Shoka, Spruha, Paribhava, lamentation, hankering, defeat, Vipulascha Lobaha, and overpowering greed. Mama iti asadavagraha, or they have excessive attachment, which is the cause of prolonged material existence. Tavad bayam drabinadeha suhrid nimittam. Yavan natengrim abhayam pravrinita loka. As long as they do not take shelter of your lotus feet, all of this is a problem. Attachment to any of these things will give fear, lamentation, etc. The acharyas say. But the devotees, someone may deny, but why you are glorifying your devotees so much? The devotees have wives, the devotees have children, wealth. So they must also be considered as materialists, right? So here he says, no, this is not true. Materialists suffer continued material existence caused by attachment to wealth, body, and friends. This existence consists of lamentation, desire, defeat, etc. As long as they do not accept your lotus feet as having power. Yavan natengri mapayam prabrinita loka. As long as they do not accept your lotus feet, all of this will affect them. Or, to speak of it in an opposite way, if they accept those feet completely, then by attachment to you, they will give up attachment to wealth, etc. And if one is a devotee and has attachment to wealth, one should still not worry. The bite of a snake whose 2 front teeth have been extracted does not cause suffering. Thus, just accepting your feet as worthy of service destroys the very cause of material existence. Okay. Destroys. That is the nature of bhakti. Okay. And then he quotes the same verse. Tavad ragadayastena stavad karagraham graham. Okay. So now the question is, if the devotees are rejecting the material things, as it is mentioned here by Prahlad Maharaj, no, please do not ask me for any material benedictions. I may become, I may get distracted like that. So now the question is, does then Krishna take away the material assets from the devotees? Essentially, because they think that it is going to bind me to this material world. This question arises. Just give me 1 second. Okay. So Krishna does seem to indicate this in the 10th canto. He says, I'm sorry, just give me 1 second. Okay. Yasyaham anugrinami harishyet dhanam shanaihi tato adanam tyajantyasya swajana dukkha dukkitam. You all know this verse, right? Oftentimes Srila Prabhupada quotes this verse. So he says, Krishna says, if I especially favor someone, I gradually deprive him of his wealth. Then the relatives and friends of such a poverty-stricken man abandon him. In this way, he suffers one distress after another. Krishna says this. If I especially favor someone, I gradually deprive him of his wealth. When the wealth goes, the friends and relatives will leave, abandon him. So he will experience one distress after another. And in the next verse, he says, so then he will come running to my lotus feet and take shelter of my lotus feet. This is what Krishna says. But is this kind of reciprocation by Krishna very consistent? So which means anyone who has relatives, friends, and money, does it mean that Krishna's mercy is not there? Okay. Or the most abandoned person who has no wealth, no relatives, no friends, is that a reliable sign of mercy of Krishna? Like that someone may ask. Okay. So we will just see some purports, okay, where this particular verse is quoted, and we will see the context of this. You all know this verse from the first canto, second chapter. Kamasya nendriya pritir labho jiveta yavata jivasya tattva jigyasa narto yascheha karma bihi. Okay. So he says, for one who desires apavarga, means prema or liberation, sense pleasure attained from enjoying sense objects is not the goal. As long as one lives, the goal of life is jivasya tattva jigyasa, is to inquire into the higher truth. Whatever is accomplished by prescribed duties is not the goal. So, oh my God, okay, I did a mistake. Okay, so here he says that, so here he quotes this verse, Yasyaham Anugranami, and I have taken only a small part of the purport. Okay, sorry, no. The pleasure of the senses arising from enjoying the sense objects is not the goal. Rather, as long as one lives, one should work for the fulfillment of life, apavarga. Okay. The pleasure of the senses from enjoyment for the jnanis or the yogis consists of the secondary results that appear. Okay, I will just read the essential part. Since jnana and yoga are transformations of nishkama karma, because when nishkama karma matures, one takes up to jnana and yoga. Okay. They perceive whatever happiness and distress they experience as results of karma. So for jnanis and yogis, the happiness and distress that comes, they consider it as the result of karma. But for the devotees, the pleasure of the senses from sense objects, which accompany bhakti, however, are not called fruits of karma, since bhakti is not a transformation of karma. So for devotees, right from the beginning, whatever happiness that they get, okay, is not according to karma, but it is a result of their bhakti. It is directly given by Krishna. So the devotees, however, perceive happiness to be the result of bhakti only, and they regard suffering as the mercy of the Lord. And then he quotes this verse, Yasyaham Anugranami Harishe Taddanam Shanaihi. Okay. Then, so therefore, Krishna reciprocates by giving happiness also, material pleasures also. So it is not that his mercy comes only in the form of Krishna taking away the wealth and taking away the relatives and friends. No, that is not true. That's not the only way in which he reciprocates. Okay. So, okay. Then another verse he quotes, Asyanubhavam Bhagavan Veda Guhyatamam Shivah Devarshir Narada Sakshat Bhagavan Kapilo Nrupa. This is spoken by Bhishma Dev to Yudhishthir Maharaj. I will just directly go to some section of the purport, okay, which is relevant, okay, just to show this. Okay, I will read this. Seeing that Krishna is controlled more when he sees his devotees who generate prema in Krishna, the knower of rasa infers that there is intense prema in the siddha and sadhaka devotees. Okay, here siddha refers to those at the stage of bhava. Sadhaka parikirtita, sorry, not siddha, sadhaka. Sadhaka here refers. He then concludes that Krishna is the cause of difficulty for devotees in order to increase their devotion to that level. So Krishna causes difficulties for devotees in order to increase their devotion to that level. Shiva, Narada, and Kapila know this. One sees an increase in prema in Draupadi and others when their difficulties increase. Okay, when their difficulties increase, one sees an increase of prema in Draupadi and others. And then he quotes this verse, Yasyaham Anagranami. Thus, the difficulties the devotees experience are not prarabdha karmas, since they are given by the Lord alone who wants to benefit the devotees. However, this is not an inclusive rule. Sometimes the Lord increases his devotees' bhakti without giving problems to him. It is not necessary that he may take away the wealth, he may take away the, whatever, the relatives and friends. Not necessarily. Thus, it is said that no one knows the plan of the Lord. Shiva and Narada know the anubhavas or symptoms in the Lord. Other foolish people do not know the anubhavas, like Krishna allowing himself to be tied up. They think that it is some sort of fake display. Okay. Anyways. Okay. So this is one case where here Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti says this is not an inclusive rule. This is not an inclusive rule. Sometimes the Lord increases his devotees' bhakti without giving problems to him also. Okay. In the case of the prachetas, in the case of prachetas, the Lord told them, you rule this world. Okay. You rule this world. Like that, he gave not just some material benefits, he gave the whole world for them to rule. And then the Lord speaks this verse. Griheshu abhishatam chapi pumsam kushala karmanam madvarta yata yamanam na bandaya griha mataha. Householders who perform acts of devotion while spending all time in discussing topics about me are not bound by household life. Even though household life is there, household life means relatives are there, friends are there, money is there, house is there, but still they are not bound because they are engaged in acts of devotion. So, someone may challenge the Lord or may tell the Lord, my dear Lord, you have asked the prachetas to enjoy earthly pleasures. Since this pleasure is equivalent to hell and unfavorable for bhakti to you, why do you force it on us? The prachetas may ask, why you are forcing this material pleasure, earthly pleasure on us? Is it not unfavorable to bhakti? Okay. So he says, they pass their hours talking about me as a necessity of life. The meaning is this. Okay. This is the important point. That enjoyment which produces karma is a cause of bondage and is equivalent to hell. It is unfavorable for bhakti. It does not arise from my mercy. You should enjoy the earth. This is my mercy. Other types of enjoyment of the world restrict bhakti, but enjoyment ordered by me increases bhakti. So this principle of yasyaham anugranami harishyeta dhanam shanaihi is not a consistent principle. That's not the only way Krishna will reciprocate. Thus, it should be understood that this is enjoyment arising from my mercy and does not cause bondage. This is also seen in the cases of Prithu, Prahlad, Dhruva, and Manu. My mercy towards persons who have not burned up material impurities is to take away their enjoyment. Okay. My mercy towards persons who have not burned up material impurities is to take away their enjoyment. But even to such people, taking away material enjoyment is not a consistent principle that Krishna utilizes. Because you do see Krishna talks about Shubhada. One of the effects of Bhakti is Shubhada. And one of the aspects, Shubhada means to give auspiciousness. Practice of Bhakti bestows auspiciousness. And one kind of auspiciousness, he says, is Sukha Pradatvam. He gives Sukha, happiness. And one type of Sukha, he says, is Vaishayika Sukha. Even happiness of this material world also one gets by practice of Bhakti. That does not bind that person to this material world. Okay. And therefore, in the purport to this verse, Nahi asya karhichid rajan puman veda viditsitam yad vijignyasaya yukta muyyanti kavayopihi. Bhishmadev says one cannot understand the plan of Krishna, how he will reciprocate, how he will, I'm sorry. How he will, oh, why did I do this? Okay. How he will reciprocate with his devotees, no one can guess that. He does not reciprocate in any kind of stereotyped way. In the purport, it is mentioned. So, Yudhishthira Maharaj is wondering, so what should I conclude? So here is the general conclusion. Everyone agrees that no one can interfere with the plans of Krishna, and no one can even understand what his plans are, even today, including Brahma and Shiva. Okay. So the question is, does he want to give us suffering? Does he want to give us joy? Or does he want to give us happiness and joy both? This question arises. The Pandavas, Yudhishthira Maharaj is asking, does he want to give us suffering? Does he want to give us joy? Or does he want to give us happiness and joy? So he says, does he want to give us suffering? He says, oh, this cannot be true, because then his quality of being affectionate to his devotee will be compromised. So I cannot say that he wants to give me suffering. Does he want to give me happiness? That also cannot be true, because, we have not seen happiness, at least material happiness, in our lives. Does he want to give us mixed happiness and distress? Even that would be a contradiction to his kind nature. So what then is what is real thing? What does he want to give? What is his plan? He says, one cannot understand. The Lord's reciprocation with his devotee is not stereotyped. What he is going to do, how he will pull his devotee to his lotus feet is not stereotyped. Will he take the money away? Maybe. Will he give me more money? Maybe. Whatever is needed to pull the devotee closer to his feet, the Lord will do. That does not necessarily come in the form of taking away wealth or giving wealth, taking away relatives or giving relatives. Nothing is very consistent. Okay, like that. And then we see in the case of Prahlad Maharaj himself, after Prahlad Maharaj says, my dear Lord, I don't wish to, I am not like a merchant. I will not ask for any benedictions. Please don't give me material benedictions. Please give me the benediction that I don't get stuck up with this material desires and all that. After hearing all of that, what does Narsingadev say? He says, a devotee like you never desires any kind of material benedictions, either in this life or in the next life. Nonetheless, he says, I order you to enjoy the luxuries of the demons until the end of Manvantara, which is a very, very long time. Okay, 71 Chaturyugas. So he says, okay. So he says that I will give this for only this Manvantara, not longer. Do not be angry. He says like that. So after speaking all this, the Lord says that, take it, enjoy. Prahlad Maharaj says, that's exactly what I told you not to give me. But the Lord said, take it, enjoy. Okay, where is the Yasyaham Anugrinami principle? And then he says, continuously hearing topics about me and always being absorbed in me in your mind worship me by Bhakti Yoga while giving up Karma Yoga. Karma hinvan yogena tvam yajasva. You worship me by Bhakti. Like that. Anyways, so therefore, Krishna's reciprocation with devotees, is for their benefit always. That is consistent. How he will reciprocate, there is no consistent principle. Okay. He may reciprocate anyways he wants. No one can guess how Krishna is going to reciprocate. Anyways, I'm sorry I went over time. Do we still have a few minutes for questions, or is the time up?
We have.
Prabhu, we have.
Okay.
Thank you
So
so
we
much, Prabhu. Yeah. Can you hear me, Prabhu?
Yes, I can hear you, Mataji.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. You have quoted several verses and several given the very detailed thing. Krishna always reciprocates. It's not even materially also. He will reciprocate if he wants. He will give. Thank you so much, Prabhu. I'm trying to see if they have any raised hands here.
Yeah. I can manage. I will unmute them.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, I will take care. Yeah.
Okay.
Mother Gail.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Nice surprise
Yes,
to see you on this group today. Yes, just this point about the fact that, Krishna will reciprocate in whatever way he deems best in order to improve the relationship between him and us, right? So I'm just curious then, why are certain verses worded the way they are? Specifically that verse where he says, for those devotees who, I forget how it's worded, who has material desires, he will take away everything, and he will take away relatives and so on, so that people won't want to come near him. It's worded in a way as if to say it is a stereotype and it is a consistent thing. I'm just curious about the wording, the style of the wording. Why would it be worded like that when it's actually not like that consistently?
Because if you should understand that even though Bhagavatam is a book, but it is a book of conversations, right? If I am having a conversation with you, in the middle of a conversation, I may speak a statement which, if you remove the context of that statement, it may not be correct actually, right? Yeah. So this is a conversation between Krishna and Yudhishthir Maharaj. So Yudhishthir Maharaj understands the context. So even though it is mentioned that the statement may seem like a universal principle, but because there is a context to this statement, the people who are conversing with each other, they know that it was not meant in such a universal way. So therefore, if you go to this actual pastime and see the verse in the context of the pastime, you understand that, it has a very local context, not a very universal context, like that.
Okay, that makes sense. I don't know if you're able to elaborate on that particular context to explain why
the context of that particular episode.
Yeah. To understand why it was said in that way.
Yeah, see, this is the episode between Lord Shiva and Vrikasur, and in one conversation, Yudhishthir Maharaj asked Krishna only, Krishna, how is it that worshippers of Lord Shiva seem to be, even though he himself is very detached, but worshippers of Lord Shiva are very wealthy and comfortable, but but you are living in a palace, but your worshippers are often seem to be poverty stricken, like that. So then Krishna gives this principle that, sometimes when I want to really show some mercy to others, then I take that away so that they can surrender to my lotus feet. But the reality is we do know that that the devotees of Krishna are not always like that.
Yeah.
Bhagavatam is full of examples of devotees who are quite wealthy, So you do understand the context of this. So this is called as in Sanskrit, Chatrino Gachanti Nyaya. I think I've shared this before. Chatrino means one who is holding an umbrella. So you say that, so you look, everyone is holding an umbrella and walking. So, but no, this is not true. Many people are holding an umbrella and walking, but in a very, you say that everyone is holding an umbrella, but that is not really true, like that.
Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Anyone else has a question? I think there is something in the chat box. Let me see. Okay. Could you give the clear involvement of Lord Ganesh in writing Srimad Bhagavatam? Did Lord Ganesh write as per dictation? Could you please give Lord Ganesh's role with Srimad Bhagavatam? Mahabharata, I know for sure. Bhagavatam also I've heard somewhere, but I am not very sure if Lord Ganesh wrote Srimad Bhagavatam. Maybe he did, I don't know.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, please accept my obeisances. Prabhuji,
Yes,
could you
ma'am.
give any reference or some book where I could get something relative, the interference between the Lord Ganesha and Srimad Bhagavatam?
I have no idea. I'm sorry.
Okay, Prabhuji, thank you so much for the class and enlightening us today. And thank you so much. Eternally grateful to you.
Hare Krishna. Preeti Vilasan.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. First of all, thank you so much for coming on the forum after a long break. Very, very happy to have you, Prabhu. And thanks for the beautiful class with the 3 connected stories, the Vedas, benedictions, Prahlad, Prithu, and then later how the Lord speaks to Durvasa. So very, very nice connections. Prabhu, I did have a question with respect to the Lord's mercy. I understand the Lord is very merciful, but sometimes I see that when something is taken away from somebody, for example, be it wealth or relatives or whatever, the devotee initially undergoes a lot of struggle as compared to how that devotee was doing bhakti with everything. So if supposing a devotee was doing devotional service, even before undergoing that struggle, and they were very well situated, happy in Krishna consciousness, but after the struggle, it takes the devotee a lot of time to, not that they're giving up Krishna consciousness, but the smoothness with which they were executing Krishna consciousness is somewhat impaired after the strong reversal. So how do we kind of understand this is a special mercy? Of course, it is our karma, that I understand. But how do we put the mercy aspect at this point? Because it appears that the bhakti itself is becoming a struggle then after that.
Yeah.
So is it like a temporary thing we have to look much ahead of time, or explain that, Prabhu?
Yeah. So we could look at it in 2 ways. Look at it means there could be 2 reasons for this. One is, when someone has to do a long jump, in athletics, you have long jump. So in long jump, first the person walks in the opposite direction to take a run up. And then he comes and jumps, So it may look like he is going in the opposite direction, walking behind, when you have to jump from the line, from the board, from the takeoff board. Why you want to go back? Okay. But those who understand the science, they know, yes, we have to jump from the board, but to jump from the board, sometimes you need to generate momentum. And to generate momentum, you have to walk behind and run from behind, generate that momentum so that you can take off. So sometimes Krishna orchestrates these things when it may seem like the person's steadiness in devotional service is compromised, but probably that temporary unsteadiness is what is needed to push him to the next level. That Krishna sees, we may not necessarily see.
Very
Okay.
nice. Very nice. Thank you.
That is one thing. And the second is, sometimes Krishna presented that situation so that the devotee would respond in a particular way through which his devotional service would improve, but the devotee responded in another way by which his devotional service went down. That is also possible. So that is where, so then what will Krishna do? If he has responded in an unfavorable way, then Krishna will orchestrate another situation and give another chance to the devotee, because the response, Krishna will not orchestrate the response of the devotee also. That much free will the devotee only has to exercise. Krishna does not want to take that also away from him. So Krishna will orchestrate a situation in such a way that if the devotee responds in a particular way, his bhakti will become enhanced, but the devotee may respond in another way. Just like the but Krishna does not let go of that devotee. He says, okay, now I will recalibrate and give you another situation, hoping that Krishna will respond in another, the devotee will respond in another way. But the devotee may respond in an exact opposite way. And again, that may be a problem. So that could also be a reason that the devotee is not responding properly to the situation that Krishna has put the devotee in, like that.
Okay, so ultimately, depending on our free will, whatever the situation may be, we may respond in different ways, but Krishna keeps giving us chances.
Yeah.
Yes, Prabhu. Very nice. Definitely, he's compassionate. Thank you so much. Very
Thank
nice.
you.
Hare Krishna.
Shri Vidya Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji. Something similar to what you answered in the second part of the previous question, I think. So yeah, we see like here Prahlad Maharaj is given a manvantra to live again. After his darshan, and then Dhruva Maharaj also lived for a very long time. So of course the Lord definitely would have the hope that there are few devotees and they would maintain the rapport. But in case of devotees like us, simple sadhakas like us, Prabhuji, so Krishna gives some opulence, but we wanted to use them in Krishna service, but we are sure that we are not using it properly, even though we try a little, but we have not put our full endeavor in using it in Krishna service. So then what would be the reason? Then why would Krishna give them the opulence? Or is it that the devotee may expect that the Krishna may take it away any time? Is it something like a caution notice for the devotee that it will be taken away?
Even if it is taken away, the caution is not that it will be taken away. The caution is that I think I'm hearing my own voice. Okay. The caution is actually Krishna is giving you wealth or taking away the wealth so that you come closer to his lotus feet. That is the caution. Krishna is not threatening that I will take your wealth away. You better surrender to me. That's not what Krishna is communicating. Krishna is telling, even if I take your wealth away, through that verse he says, even if I take your wealth away, understand that it is with a desire to pull you closer to my lotus feet. Please don't take it otherwise. It's not a word of caution. It's a clarification that even if I take your wealth away, don't think that I have become inimically disposed towards you. I love you. That's the communication that Krishna is trying to give, like that.
So Prabhuji, just as an expansion of this question, Prabhuji, so we see the life of Srila Prabhupada, when his factory was born. So he took it as, Krishna's benediction. So can we say that Krishna will wait for the time until a devotee, a normal devotee like us, would get that maturity to understand this plan? I mean, before he gives that particular, that action, before he plans that particular action for us?
Not necessarily. We may not have that maturity, but sometimes Krishna may give us the association of devotees who have that maturity and who may give us that perspective to look at that situation like that. Sometimes he may sometimes we may not have that maturity, but sometimes that suffering is what was needed for us to develop that maturity also. That is also possible.
Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Padma Mataji. You have to,
Thank you so much, Prabhu. During your lecture, Prabhu, I saw one contest where Krishna sometimes gives suffering that it is not because of prarabdha karma, but it is because to experience. Can you please explain a little bit more about that, Prabhu? Because always I was under the impression that whenever the suffering is coming, it is because of the prarabdha karma that we have done in past lives or whatever. And so that has to be rectified, right? Like anardas and prarabdha karma and what. Can you please help me to understand it a little bit more, Prabhu?
I will very briefly touch that, but I can give you some references where we have discussed it in great detail. I think in Bhakti Sanga only, I think 2-3 sessions I took continuously, where we discussed this theme in great detail. Devotee suffering, even though it looks like prarabdha karma, it is not at all prarabdha karma. It is directly given by Krishna. Okay. So even though we may still live in the same body, for devotees, the current body is not a result of one's prarabdha karma. It is actually personally given by Krishna so that we can come closer to him. So all kinds of happiness and distress that a devotee experiences in his life is directly due to Krishna. It is not a result of karma. But sometimes when we make a mistake, we may get a punishment, which may look like karma, but it is not a punishment given by law of karma. It is a punishment directly given by Krishna to, to shake us and bring us back on track, like that. This is in essence, but I can share the links with you. You can hear that in detail.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I think there is one more hand up, and then I think we can pause there. Radha Jyoti Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, there is one loop, and I wanted to know if I'm thinking in the right direction. Say one person, say I'm doing my devotion sincerely, and then I hit the lowest of my phase. Then there is a bit of frustration, but I'm not ready to give up. Then I start doing my devotional service, and I understand that there are a lot of things of improvements, and there is need of qualities that Lord is asking, because the services also demands in the same way. Then I try to improve, but later on I understood that the more the devotional services I do, there is a need of qualifying the devotional service. I mean, say if I'm doing aarti, some puja, means offering some flowers, but when I'm at the lowest, I will do with the same thing, the same action of devotion with the intensity. then I'll put the quality. There is a loop, like increasing the faith or something is happening in that process. So is the understanding correct that in a chanting there is a need of being purified through the qualities? So the suffering is given to improve the qualities and to chant with an intensity. So is my understanding correct, Prabhu?
Yeah, that could be that is one prominent reason why Krishna puts his devotees through some sufferings. That is one prominent reason. That's not the only reason. That's one prominent reason. Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah. I think we will pause here. Thank you all very much for giving me this opportunity. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for the beautiful, beautiful class, and thank you for taking up the question and answers by yourself, Prabhu. Always you help us after a very long time. Nice to see you, Prabhuji. Very grateful to you. And we visited your website, and website is awesome with all the links. Thank you so much for the hard work. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mother.
Thank you so much,
Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Mataji?
Yeah.
Yes,
Mataji, we can hear you.
Blessing the way which
Patitanam
Pavanebhyo
Pavanebhyo Namo Namaha.
Namo
Praise Balaram Sakthi Prabhuji ki jai.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Joining.